Lesson 10, Mastering Clear Communication. Welcome to part 1 of our journey into the art of effective communication. In this phase, we dive into the mastery of clear communication, a fundamental skill that forms the cornerstone of influential expression. Now, for the quote of the lesson, we have effective communication is 20% of what you know and 80% how you feel about what you know, by Jim Rohn. So when you think about this quote, and for example, you are expressing a topic, an idea, or a point of view that you would love to express, you can collect and have a whole bunch of facts and analytical explanations about why your point should matter or why your point should be understood and so on. But it is not until you express how you truly feel about what you know that it is received with the intention that you want to provide it with. Because to provide information, right, you are just sharing what you know, therefore you are being informative. But when you express how you feel about what you know, what you're doing is you are creating an influence by impacting or resonating with your audience through the resonance of feelings and emotions. And when feelings and emotions are added into any form of conversation, presentation, speech, and so on, there's a different notion behind that. Because we can all use, at this point in time, AI to give us all the information that AI collects. And it would precisely give us exactly what we're seeking in terms of information. And yes, we will receive the information. We would collect that data and use it for whatever means necessary. But does it really remain stuck in our memory? Does it really impact us at our core? Is it something that really influences us to remember it or share it with another person? Unless it triggers some form of an emotional state. So this is where our humanity comes into value, especially at this moment in time in history. Because we believe that now we can use AI for so many things, and soon enough we won't have jobs, and all these different assumptions and narratives you want to incorporate into our belief system and narrative. But the truth is that it is not until AI is able to be emotionally intelligent and be able to express compassion and empathy, and be able to cope and cultivate the nurturing that is necessary under certain conditions to another, where we would be in trouble about what we can bring into humanity in terms of our creativity, our work, presentations, and so on. The good thing is that we are not there yet, and that is still our advantage. Because when we have learned to be emotionally intelligent while maintaining an ability and an awareness to be compassionate and empathetic towards others and ourselves, there's this level of divinity that still remains in us that separates us from that what is logical and analytical and database, right? And if we don't take advantage of that, we are choosing to give our value away because it is still our advantage. And when you can discuss or express what is it that you know in a way that creates impact, in a way that creates influence, where the effective communication that you provide says something, but not by the words you are saying, but by the feelings that you are creating, then there you still have great value. in anything that you do, because you are maintaining your unique, authentic humanity in that which you express. Which brings us into understanding the power of clear communication. Effective communication is not just about words. It's about the art of being heard, understood, and felt. Clear communication transcends language barriers, allowing your thoughts, ideas, and emotions to resonate authentically with others. And now when we think about that, what would be the key components of clear communication? For the first one, we have precision. Choose words thoughtfully to convey your message accurately. Avoid unnecessary jargon. Opt for simplicity without compromising depth. For number 2, we have clarity. Structure your message logically, ensuring a clear flow of ideas. Use examples and analogies to enhance understanding. Number 3, tone and delivery. Be mindful of your tone, ensuring it aligns with your emotional context. Practice varied delivery styles based on the nature of your message. Now, as I'm expressing to you this lesson on the beginning of the effective communication, I'm choosing to take my time with subtle and slight pauses while creating and maintaining a low-pitched tone that shows calm and empathy. Because it is a statement that says, we are all doing this together, attempting to find ways, techniques, and skills that are going to allow us to remain in our value of what is it that we as humanity can still bring into this world, while there is the enhancement of technology that is allowing us to have more access to more of a analytical and logical state of being, which serves us indeed, because when we think about it like this, we have been very logical and analytical and left-brained throughout centuries. So when we are handing more of that responsibility, for example, to the technology that we are using daily, what it is allowing us to do is to open into the possibilities of how we can step more into our right hemisphere of the mind, where we are attempting to be in the energy of emotional states, of feelings, of compassion, of emotional intelligence, right? Of creativity. All of these things that will not come naturally to the technology unless it is prompted to. But remember, the prompting is coming from the imagination of us, an imagination that is cultivated and birthed from the right hemisphere or the subconscious mind. So, just like our brain functions, the projection of our experience in our external reality, it's only allowing us to become familiar of how we on a macro and micro scale function as well. And as we have also overpowered and overused our left hemisphere, now we can welcome in the balancing act of that equilibrium within ourselves by learning how to not only be logical and analytical and collect data and remember all of these things, but also be in the moment of just simply being and allowing and being more receptive to the experiences without the expectations or the dictation of what we think something should be, which allows us to be more free, which allows us to be more in the energy of whatever is, right? Therefore, more freeing and liberating of the stresses that most of us deal with, which is why I believe that it is very important for the course to incorporate that and also us in our everyday life to become aware of when we are off balance in our use of the functionality of our mental capacity from the right and left hemisphere of the mind. Bringing us into the 3 parts of this lesson, which in this one would be the mastering of clear communication, where we learn to convey our thoughts, ideas, and emotions with precision and clarity, ensuring our message is understood, as you learn to resonate authentically with others. For part 2, we have active listening, which allows us to develop the art of active listening, allowing us to engage deeply with others, truly understanding their perspective. And for part 3, we have persuasive influence, acquired techniques for persuasive influence, enabling us to communicate our ideas effectively and with inspiring action. Bringing us into crafting your clear message. Now, in order for us to craft a clear message, there's a few things that we have to go about, with the first one here being define your objective. Clearly outline the purpose of your message. What do you want to achieve? So when we think about our message and why we want to express our message or why we believe it's important, this is very crucial to do before even expressing ourselves, because we ourselves have to understand the why behind the message. Why is this message important to me? Why do I believe that this message will benefit not only me but others? What is the purpose behind this message being shared? Right? We need to be very clear about the why behind the message in order for us to know the why behind why we are expressing it the way we are choosing to express it. Especially if we want to not only discuss what we know, but also discuss the why you feel the need to express what you want to express, right? Which allows you to be in the expression of your authentic emotions or feelings about the topic, which therefore now resonates and brings an extent of awareness through feelings onto others, therefore becoming more of an impact and an influence rather than just an informative moment. Bringing us into the next step of tailoring for your audience. Consider the background, interests, and expectations of your audience. By understanding and knowing our audience, we prepare ourselves as to how we are choosing to express ourselves. What wording would be easier for my audience to comprehend so that it's not too complex? Or how can I make it enticing for a more mature and advanced audience, right? You have to understand at each moment what is your audience so that you know the way you will be expressing yourself, because that is important. It says you have taken the time to find the resonance of the audience so that you can find the ways that you can influence and impact your audience so that your message could get across the way you are intending for the message to get across. So therefore, it has to be tailored to each and every audience depending on the topic. For the third step, we have organize your thoughts. Structure your message with a clear beginning, middle, and end. So, obviously for most, if you're writing a presentation or a speaking event, more than likely you have written and organized your speech or your presentation to some degree. Therefore, it is something that you are finding the organization aspect, the analytical aspect, the logical aspect of your left brain functionality so that in that expression it is organized where you're not repeating things and so on. Sometimes people decide to do this, and sometimes people just allow themselves to just flow. For example, most of these lessons, I am just preparing myself through the presentation of what you're looking at, but I'm not necessarily writing any form of scripting or anything. I'm just going with the flow of what I'm presenting to you and allowing myself to find the resonance in the moment of whatever comes up. Like I said, I'm not yet the master that I would want to be, but I'm definitely working on moving forward by practicing any opportunity I get to do that. Now bringing us into the fourth step, use engaging language. Choose words that captivate attention and convey your sentiments. So you can use words, you can use gestures if it is something that you're presenting. For example, if you're presenting something on a stage and you want to seem more inviting and opening your welcoming presentation with open arms and walking forward, for example, instead of moving back and closing your arms or closing your hands together. If you decide to walk on stage with a welcoming and opening of your arms, well, as you're walking, that would increase the focus upon you, right? As well as the gesture of slightly moving your head to the side, tilted, that increases empathy. Or by changing the pace of what you are saying increases focus. Or by shifting yourself with a lower voice, you get more anticipation. And sometimes, by simply creating a pause, you get more undivided attention. So doing subtle motions like this, where you use the body language says a lot, as opposed to, for example, I'm going to put this as an example. So for the last one I just mentioned is where you make a pause when you're discussing something. When a discussion is being spoken and expressed, and let's say you don't have a script, or if you do have a script, you might not have remembered what you said in between those two sentences. Instead of saying, so that takes away out of the experience that cultivates or represents confidence and reassurance and assertiveness. Why? Because that one moment of umming brings into the awareness of the audience that there is a sense of confusion or of not knowing something, as opposed to someone just slightly remaining silent in a pause to process and to think about their next words, instead of just going forward and saying something just to not have the mute. Because we have to remember, just like music, silence is a note. No note is the pause that is needed in between notes to make the impact or the symphony. So just like music, if we learn to just slow down and take our time and just simply lower the tone of our voice and pause when we don't know the next thing to say, the confidence still remains, the interest is still there, and the subtle impact or influence is being cultivated. So I'm expressing myself with all of these pauses in between the words that were not planned and that I didn't know what to say in between, just to show the example of how that affects the listener. When you give a pause, there's still interest. There's this anticipation. What are you going to say? As opposed to yeah, and if you're walking or talking and you're doing this so fast and all of these things, you're just like, what? Slow down. Even though the listener doesn't say slow down, there's something in them that sounds like, what are you trying to say? But when you pause, the intrigue and the anticipation still remains. So that's just something I would like to incorporate into this so that you have a point of view of what that looks like to maintain the influence and the effective communication in your message. So now, how can we incorporate emotional intelligence into this message? So for one, emotional intelligence is something we always want to practice and maintain because we want to be aware of the influence and the impact and the awareness that our audience is receiving from our message so that we can take pointers from that. We can take notes. What do I need to do? What do I need to improve on? And all of these things. And sometimes it is through practice and practice and practice while also reflecting and observing our presentation and our speech and so on, that we get better. We're not going to get better overnight, especially if you're not doing the practice of what is it that you want to master. And that goes with anything. So incorporating emotional intelligence into your message, one way, obviously, as everything, would be empathy. Because in empathy, we understand the emotional context of our message. Therefore, we adjust our tone to resonate with the emotional state of our audience. We have to become aware of how the audience is receiving our message. Like that, we can continue with our message, or we might need to make a few subtle changes or create an ice-breaking joke or whatever it is. But by being emotional intelligent in every message that we decide to express, we maintain that level of awareness so that we can recognize all of these changes within ourselves, but also the audience. So, for example, recognizing that each member is on a unique journey. We've crafted this course with a deep empathy, understanding the challenges and aspirations that come with your pursuit of self-mastery, right? So in this message is saying, we are recognizing that everyone is on their own journey. So not one shoe fits all, right? And by providing that expression, we are displaying empathy of our message. We are displaying and expressing how empathy is being incorporated into our message, where we have crafted the course with that deep awareness of that empathy so that we can better suit the members who are doing the course, as we understand that the challenges and aspirations that come with our pursuit to self-mastery. So by incorporating empathy in our behavior and in our presentation, but also in our message, allows everyone, whether receiving it or telling it, to be aware that there is empathy. And when there is empathy, there is emotions and feelings that are taking place. And when there is feelings and emotions and awareness coming about to those feelings and emotions, there is more of an influence and an impact that is being provided as opposed to just information being given, right? Another way we can incorporate emotional intelligence is active listening. as we practice active listening to better understand others, fostering two-way communication. So let's say we are conveying a message and we decide to ask the audience a question. We want to hear their responses. We don't want to ask a question and before anyone can have the opportunity to even attempt to answer, we're just going along with the question and not allowing the opportunity for any form of participation with the audience that allows us a more intriguing interaction, right? So an example would be we're actively listening to the needs of our community, and the self-mastery cultivation course is a reflection of those insights. Your feedbacks have guided us in creating a course that aligns with your aspirations. So for example, this would be a course that has been provided and crafted and organized based on the necessities and the feedbacks given prior to maybe other things that were given before. So this is stating we heard your opinion, we heard your necessities and your needs and your wants and your feedback, and we did take that in consideration for the way we went about this creation of this course or this message, so that I provide you as a messenger the value that you seek. And that value can always be represented by the incorporation of empathy and active listening in our messages, because this allows people to feel heard and understood and valued, right? And when we incorporate that into our message to bring the awareness that yes, I do empathize with you and your needs, and I have heard the feedback that I have been given. Therefore, this is the message that I am providing you today. Now it is a equal and even exchange of value and attention, correct? And that creates trust. A trust that allows your audience to be more receptive to your message. So when we learn to use these factors into our messages with clarity on how we did so, it is a perfect combination of understanding, value, and allowing the audience to feel heard. Now, when conveying a message, we're going to do the practical exercise here of conveying a clear message and how that would sound like in the terms of, let's say, the course. So when crafting a short message, whether written or spoken, what we want to do is we want to convey a personal insight or experience. We can share this with our peers or seek feedback on clarity and impact. Now, the message I have here as the example is, dear members, embark on a transformative journey with our new self-mastery cultivation course, designed by your aspirations in mind. This course is a holistic exploration of self-discovery, empowerment, and lasting balance. In crafting this course, we've listened to the unique needs of our community. We understand that the path to self-mastery is personal, and our course is infused with empathy for your individual journey. As you navigate the course, you'll discover a tailored experience that resonates with your aspirations. Join us on this exciting journey to unlock your fullest potential. Your path to self-mastery begins here. So you see how we express how we went about cultivating the course and stating how we did take in consideration the aspirations and the needs of those who will be doing or participating in the course. And also by conveying the message of the value that the course will bring to those who participate. As my intention is indeed that. As you are participating in my course, that is doing exactly what my message was in that example. So now when we think about clear communication, What would be some of the benefits of clear communication? For one, it enhances precision in conveying the thoughts as we use the techniques and the steps that were discussed previously to organize and bring the clarity of the message with the intention that we want to convey that message. Another benefit would be develops awareness of tone and emotional alignment. So when we are discussing or sharing or expressing ourselves in any which way, when we want to have clear communication, we want to make sure to develop the awareness of our own tone of voice or body language, or the response and the reactions of the audience, so that in that clear communication, there's clarity going both ways, the one speaking it as well as the one receiving the message. And another benefit would be it straightens the foundation for more influential communication. So once we get familiar and get used to the practice of these techniques and tools, and get used to the skills as we continue to do the work of this course, it's going to take time, of course, to master ourselves in this practice. But with time and dedication and determination and belief in our own potential and our ability to pursue such craft, we will get comfortable and become more familiar with what comes naturally to us and what is our unique and authentic way of expressing ourselves that sets the tone for who we are as individuals and the why of our motivation and aspirations, right? Because that is also important. We don't want to necessarily practice things to the point that we resemble the best of the best. We want to place the intention of becoming the best of ourselves in that expression, where we are genuine and authentically expressing ourselves in the most natural way possible, while still remaining structured and organized and intentional with the tools and the techniques that we learn here today. Bringing us into the conclusion. As we conclude part 1 of mastering clear communication, remember the ability to communicate is not just a skill. It's a transformative tool that empowers you to connect, influence, and lead authentically. Let's embark on this journey to master the art of clear communication.